Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming. My name is Martin Schrebel. I am a camera flyer and a Tandem instructor at Skydiver The Mag. I've been asked to do this camera speech. I've been camera flying for quite a while. People like my pictures. I don't consider myself professional, but I do enjoy doing the skydiving photography. So if you don't mind, I would like to take a picture of my audience. So I have some memories. So let me make sure we have the proper settings. Everybody say arch. Thank you. So a little bit of history about myself. I started to skydive in 2006. I always wanted to jump out of the plane. It was a static line jump. I did one out of AN2, which was like a military style, when it deploys the parachute itself. And from that moment on, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I did 2 more jumps that day and met some professional skydivers who told me if that's what I like to do and to go and do paragliding, and if I want to do something real, to try AFF. So I did, and here I am now. I skydived for about 2.5 years on and off because I moved to Ireland from Czech Republic, and then I took a break. Life got in the way, family and all this stuff, you know yourself. And in 2017, September, when my wife and children left back to Slovakia and I stayed in Ireland, I decided to give it another go. And here I am now. First and foremost, I would like to not apologize, but English is not my first language. So if there's something you don't understand, please ask me a question or do ask me to repeat it. Also, I like to say there is no such a thing as too many questions in skydiving, in anything at all. So no matter how silly you think that question might be, please ask it. Okay? Cool. So I've put a picture on for a start, which I'm not completely proud of, but I think that's one of the best pictures I've ever taken. Not really, but this is a Nationals 2020 when a AAA team asked me to film them, and this is their first jump, which costed them about 7 points. The reason I'm showing this picture is, before I get to all this technicalities and all that, is that history to that is I panicked. I stayed on my back, went on my belly, and went back up, and costed about 7 points. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on. Should this ever happen, stay on your back, film. It is still a complete formation. So let's begin. So you know who I am. You know where I come from, you know what I do, how I started. So I went back to sport in Ireland in IPC, which is Irish Parachute Club, where I started to jump. And I had about 170 jumps. They made me do AFF again. And I've always had this desire to get 200 jumps and to be able to start wearing camera. Because I remember when I started in Czech Republic, back then the cameras weren't that common, very expensive, they weren't as good as they are today. And whenever somebody jumped with me with a camera and I was able to show to my family and to my friends that picture of me skydiving, look at that, you know, I know how I felt. And as the name of this presentation says, why I love doing what I do. And it doesn't apply just to camera flying, it applies to me being a Tandem instructor. I just want people to have the memories, the experience, and give them the best of the best. And I think every one of you seen some of the pictures of yourself after you did a great jump or something happened in the sky, and then it just, wow, and it stays there. And I love these moments, so I'm doing my best to give people this moment, if that makes sense. So that's why I do it. So I would like to start talking from the beginning. When I finally reached my 200 jumps, which was in Wild Geese in Northern Ireland. Hey Neil. Andy Clark took me under his wing after some issues in IPC. And generally I only had my full face helmet, which I put a GoPro on, and that's all I had. And I started jumping, following some tandems, and been asked to film some tandems. Then eventually I went to buy a GoPro, went to buy a Cookie fuel helmet, which looked like this, with 2 cameras. The reason I'm showing you this is that in skydiving we've all heard this many times, but when we do something, we always should do it as a baby steps, one thing at a time. And I did my best to follow that advice, almost always. So I started with 2 GoPros, one as a main camera for video and one for stills. Ringside, not really necessary. This is kind of a late picture. I started with just a little circle on my goggles. Doesn't have to be a circle. It can be a little strip. Anything that gives you a point of reference, which you can set on the ground. And then once you know that your subject is below the little strip, you know you're looking at the strip. Ringside is way better, but it takes some learning and some skill to fly with. So this was one of my first setups. I would say quite safe, except for a ringside, which unfortunately is a snag hazard. I know there's an excess, we've cut it off. This picture is actually when we were setting it up, it got cut off afterwards. The reason I talk about the ringside, there is a video I kind of unfortunately don't have and couldn't find. One of my good friends, Pete Harris, we were in Castellón in Spain a couple of years back skydiving, and we were just doing a fun jump, and he filmed, he deployed, and we watched and says, oh yeah, it was a good jump. And then we noticed that there was a flicker of something in the front of the camera. And we were like, what was that? Was that a bird or like, you know, it was unusual. So we framed it, and then we realized it was a bridle of a pilot chute. And the guy was in a nice, stable position on deployment. So the point is, even though you think you throw the pilot chute behind you, that bridle will and may go anywhere. And this proves that it can go in front of you. If it can go in front of you, it can go around your ringside. Good thing about the ringside is, if you follow the instructions, they are plastic screws. And from my own experience, they work. In Sky High, they don't have a step on one of their planes. So on one of my jumps there, I had my leg in the plane. Somebody happened to be standing on my leg. As we went out, I had to go with him. Got kicked by the booty. That got ripped straight off. Lost a few pounds, not a big deal. But the good thing is, it works. So please, if you ever are buying a ringside and you see those plastic screws and even think about replacing them with steel screws, don't. Because when I show you the next slide, or one of the next slides, what I did with my camera setup, if it's too hard, if it's too stiff on your helmet, and if you can't get off, if anything snags, like that bridle or anything, or one of your lines from a parachute, it's not gonna be that thing that's gonna go. It's gonna be your neck, and we need our necks. So, next one. I added my stills camera with just one GoPro, which is still kind of fine. There's a little bit of snag. A lot of people would argue to have it the other way around. I decided not to, for one simple reason. Sony 850-100, which I have here, has a multi-port on this side. So at this stage it's protected, you know, so that's the only reason I mounted it this way. There are ways you can get cases and things like that. So it is still, in my own honest opinion, quite a safe setup. It could get better. Then I realized that I've had a few camera mounts. So I decided to get 2 cameras. So it basically stays the same. So this camera still goes here. And now, thanks to my very good friend and sponsor, Paul Champo from HP Camera Mount. So can recommend if you need anything, get in touch. You can get 3D printed, mounts, which basically look like this. I'm using a slightly different helmet now, and even though it's only a bungees, they do hold. I've never lost the camera, and it's very simple to take them out. Is there anything anybody would like to ask me before I keep going?
Yeah, how much for the helmet?
I already got asked that question today. I would estimate this, what you're seeing here, about 2.2 grand. The helmet itself is a Tonfly, which is a Slovak company. I was very lucky, as I am from Czech Republic. I have friends in Slovakia, that I got it without taxes, and I paid 560 euros just for a helmet tax, and that's before the tax. But I'll talk about it a little bit later. Actually, I can talk about it now. If you are thinking about getting into camera flying, go cookie fuel, great helmet. As soon as you start adding, as you see here, what I'm showing you, as you start adding different lenses, different sizes, it gets very snaggy, and it's very, very hard to keep it snag free. So somebody once told me, my old rigger, that for kind of a general camera work, not like really professional, I'm not Evan Cowie or people like that, Tonfly 2.5X is a Rolls Royce in the camera flying, because basically the brackets are very sturdy, very, very easy to use, clip and unclip. And as I said, Paul from HB Camera Mounts and even other suppliers are able to make your brackets that you can actually adjust it the way you want it and whatever you want. So yes, so once I progressed into this one, I jumped with it a few times. A lot of people pulled me on it, that you seriously didn't mount the camera by the lenses. No, I didn't. There is a bracket underneath, which is made. My former rigger worked for Airbus in Dublin and in the airport, so he was able to get the good materials and good screws. But that's when I heard the phrase I already told you. He says, it's there, it's gonna stay there. If it snags, it's not gonna go. This is gonna go, so make sure your head is tucked away on deployment. So after doing few jumps with this, not being happy with this, I changed to my current helmet. If anybody wants to have a look afterwards or wants to see it, wants to grab it, it's here, and you can try. I estimate this at about 3.6 kilos. So that's one of the next things I would like to mention about camera flying. As I said, one step at a time. One GoPro is light, two GoPros are light. Stills camera gets heavier. Once it's 50-100 with the kit lenses, it's light. But as soon as you add lenses like this is, by the way, my favorite lens. It's Sigma 16mm prime. Even though it's massive, it looks like it's zoom. It's not zoom. It's a prime lens. I've gotten the best results. I'm going to show you some pictures from this. So just the lens is way more than the camera. So as it gets heavier, obviously we're gonna have more on our heads. So for this kind of a thing, want to camera fly, we've got the helmet, we've got the cameras. Now we need the wings. As I said, one step at a time. So if I could recommend you anything, start jumping with wings without camera. Get a camera suit. I personally got a camera suit. It was at Hibblestone in 2018. I was shitting it, excuse my French. I remember thinking of reasons why not to do it. Then I jumped it the following day, and I realized it's not much different from a normal jump. Even when I intentionally left my one hand out and reached behind me. The thing is, start flying with the camera jacket without having a camera. Because as we all know, cameras are distraction, not just to ourselves, but to people around us as well. So once you're happy with the camera jacket, put on one GoPro. Add a second GoPro. Once you're happy, add a third GoPro. Or a stills camera. So basically that's it. So let's say we are full-on camera flyers and then we start camera flying. I mentioned the weight of the helmet. Deployment. If you deploy as you would normally deploy, say in a camera jacket, you're like this. You throw the pilot chute and you stay like this, nice and arched. This wouldn't be ideal with the camera, with your heavy setup, would it? What if you have a hard opening? Which I'll try to find a video and show you. So I personally recommend either supporting your head with your hand or tucking your head a little bit in, which is not sometimes the best idea because it makes you de-arch a little bit. But be aware that that weight on your neck and hard opening will cause a damage if there's a hard opening, and we all have had hard openings. They do happen for whatever reasons. So just please be aware of that. Brings me into another thing. There's been an incident recently. I'm not going to elaborate on that because it's only preliminary. There hasn't been a full report. Somebody died. But when you deploy with your camera jacket, please do collapse your wings. So personally, if I can show you, I'm camera flying with a Tandem, looking at the Tandem, I do tracking, slide it down, see you later, get on my belly, throw that pilot chute, and collapse the wings. Brings me back to what I said about the bridle before. As soon as you open the wings, that barbell behind you gets massive. And I'm not sure if any here been here yesterday watching the Tandem safety video. There was a video of a bag lock on a Tandem when the bag was basically locked and the instructor pulled the reserve. Pilot chute went all the way to the back and then all the way back to the rig, just because of the barbell. So imagine what can happen to your pilot chute when it gets into that barbell. The biggest problem is it can wrap on itself and kind of choke itself, and then it doesn't work. It's like in tandems we say no drog, no main. Normal sport parachutes, no pilot chutes, no main. So please be mindful of that. Any questions on that? Cool. You're a great group, making me even more nervous. Cool. So let's talk about FS skydiving, camera flying for events. Let me find a picture to give us a better perspective. This is one of the pictures I've taken in Klatovy in 2020, which we run a camp for beginners. I want to say, if you're invited to film an event or want to film on an event, first thing, talk to the organizer. Ask him what he wants. You know, in this scenario, we are teaching people how to approach in stadium, how to be at certain level and a certain distance. We ask them to be 10 feet up, 5 feet back, or the other way around. We debrief, and then we explain that it was a little bit further than 10 feet. But I was asked to do this, and I did this. So my point is, talk to the organizer of the event or the law organizer and see before what he wants. Understand? So it's one of the AFS ones. I personally like to do things which some camera flyers don't do. And maybe that's why people like my pictures. In general, camera flying in formation, you imagine you're there at the back step, ready, shake, 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 ready, set, I'm going. There's the base, and I film the base. Then everybody approaches formation, track off, deployment. I personally like go a little bit early, and if I can, sometimes I can achieve that, to have all the floaters until the last diver, including the plane in the shot. Then the organizer can see everything. You know, it's very easy to get on top of the formation and just stay there and stare at it. Well, I find it boring. So my advice, try to do that, but please practice and talk to the organizer and tell him what you're about to do, okay? Because there are things that they may not like as well. So, any questions?
So do you fly on your back then when you go out first, looking up?
No, I'm on my belly. Not intentionally. No, on my belly. It's actually, A bit of my history, which I didn't mention before I actually became a camera flyer. As most of you know, I'm very passionate about skydiving. I've always loved skydiving, and I've been going to countless of events. I've been on the big waves. My biggest is 60 by 4 point skydives, and I kind of know how it works. You know, but if you are not quite experienced in FS, it takes time to learn this skill. You know how to do it, and that's why we have wings, because as you know, you get off, and if you start arching, you don't really have support. I've heard it so many times, and I've said it myself, I'm guilty of this myself. I don't really need these wings, you know, it's so easy. Then one day I went to Langar when we were closed at hip just to do a few fun jumps, and they were doing an FS1 jump, and I didn't have wings. I said, I'd be fine. Got out of the plane, and I just couldn't get there because I didn't have wings. We get so much support from the wings. As we're talking about the equipment, speaking about the wings, excuse my French, shit happens. Sometimes wing get unclipped. Then it flies differently. So what I would like to recommend to you and all of you, if you are into camera flying and put that camera suit on, try to do a test jump on your own or with your buddy who you know who is a good flyer. Unclip that wing in the plane and get out. Try it. And the next time you're gonna be on a jump, that's very important, and your wing's gonna be unclipped. Oh yeah, I know how to do this shit. Okay, that's a good point. So that's for EFS. As I was mentioning, I like to do things slightly differently than other people, but I would like to show you a video where actually I can play from the beginning. I don't think there is any sound. See, this is what I was talking about. I'd like to get everybody in the shot, but I'm mostly achieving that. Because at the moment, it's not really important what's happening here. What's very important is what the other people are doing, what the organizers want to see. Then it just becomes a Skydive. This was a 20-way Melko and Shan organized event. I'm not going to waste too much time, so I'm going to move it towards the end. This was actually quite nice. What I want to mention here is about the deciding of what you're going to do at the end of the skydive. Majority of the camera flyers pitch when the formation tracks. I tend not to do that. I know I'm putting myself at risk. I spoke to a lot of very experienced people, including Pete Allen. Things can happen, which I will show you next. I like to go under the formation. But what I want to talk about now is make sure you have your timing right. Make sure you know when they are breaking off, because as you're gonna see very soon, I didn't get the timing quite right on this one. It was blue around, I promise. And have a look at this. Yeah, as you know, this is an experience event, so the very experienced or experienced people can track. As you know, if you track properly, you don't track this way, you track this way. I kind of didn't anticipate that, and I actually stopped because about half a second before she came towards me, I noticed what's happening. So my point is, have a plan. Know when to go down. Set that beeper 100 feet above than what you have it before you come down, because this is what can happen. As most of you know, I like to stay under the formation. As the formation is about to deploy, I usually go under. I go on my back or in the sit, and I watch them, and I let them track. I usually turn around. Some of the knows that I like to give them a little clap with my feet. And once I see the parachutes deploying, I deploy at the safe altitude. What I'm trying to say here is, even though you've seen everybody tracked and they are way away, it may not be the case. This is at Langar last year. I deployed in the middle. I was going for my risers, and then what am I seeing? Somebody is having a spiral malfunction right into the middle. You know, he got off it, he was fine. it's good there is no sound because I'm using quite a bad language there, but not towards him, but I'm just trying to encourage him to get off it. He had tension knots on his canopy. Be mindful that even though the people were away before you saw them, they may spiral back to the middle because they have a malfunction. That brings me to tandem camera flying. Tandems, they are very interesting. Camera flying is nice, but being an instructor is even nicer. But with the tandem, especially deployment, everybody knows how to film. Not everybody knows, but tandems are difficult to film because every tandem instructor has a different key. Tandem students have different weights. Tandem students do various things on exits, which will increase or decrease the fall rate. So it takes time to learn. If anybody needs any advice, please do find me around afterwards. I'm gonna probably leave a little bit early, but feel free to find me on Facebook, message me. I'm totally happy to help everybody. So I'm not gonna really talk about the tandem flying, but what I want to talk is the deployment on tandems. Please be mindful there's a trapdoor effect on tandems. As soon as they release that drogue, what's going to happen? The drogue deflates and the tandem goes back into kind of a slightly faster fall and then swings forward. So that's one thing I want to mention. So it's good to go a little bit sideways or be mindful and move if you're really experienced with that instructor, move at the right time. It's a very dangerous spot. You can get kicked and knocked out. Then I like to use two things afterwards. I usually go on my back and watch the pair deploying, sniveling, give them a little wave, thumbs up, it looks good on the video. Now, let's say I've seen a lot of camera flyers who film tandems and the tandem deploy and they just go, yeah, boom. What if that tandem have a malfunction? He's gonna cut away, I'm gonna go straight to the camera flyer. So if you don't want to watch, I don't think it's mandatory at the job zones that you have to watch the tandems deploying. But if you don't want to watch them, please track. Get on your belly and get the fuck out. It's very important. I personally go on my back, and even while I'm on my back, I'm a little bit backtracking as well. Yeah, and at hip we have that kind of a unwritten rule. We wait until the slider is completely down. Then we have enough separation. Even then, if there was a malfunction, it's not gonna go anywhere near. So is that clear? Is there any questions on that? Yeah.
So when you film in tandems.
Oh yes, yeah. Go for it.
So when you're filming tandems, and obviously you have different size students, you could have a 16-stone student and an 8-stone student. How do you cope with the speed? So, for instance, with me, I sometimes have to wear a lot of lead, and then other times not. Do you have different suits or? Yeah,
as in FS, tandems, or generally in skydiving, we say dress for success. If it didn't quite work, did it? So, do you want me to repeat the question? So the question asked was, how do I deal with the different weights of the students? Let's say Laura is quite light and there's a light tandem instructor. If I have any means of increasing, decreasing my fall rate. Before I get to that, I'll tell you something. I did my first camera jump this year, which I was uncurrent. I haven't jumped for a while. Tandem instructor was Neil from Hibblestow. Some of you know him. He's tall and light, and the student had 52 kilos. We got out, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought I forgot how to skydive. I just couldn't fly it. I got the video, I got the shot, everything is there for a customer, but it was very, very difficult. So basically, if it's like this extreme, when it's too light, there is different camera flyers at the drop zones. We have Nate, who is tiny. He actually doesn't even need wings, and we should have swapped. We didn't do that because I was like, I'll be fine. I wasn't. So brings me to another point. Know your limits. Regarding the weight belt, if it's get too heavy, I used to wear lead. Whenever I saw big instructor, big student. And I personally find lead restricting me. For whatever reason, I can't arch properly or something. And as a camera flyer, when you learn how to use your wings, you can use this to your advantage, as you don't have to really stay on your belly. You can go into something like kind of a hybrid knee fall, knee fly, if that makes sense. So basically using your wings to support you so you can stay there and have that shot, but you're not really backsliding because the wings are holding you and you're not on your belly. So that speed increases quite a bit, but it takes time to learn. Rob Jones at Hibblestow, whenever he gets a heavy student with a heavy instructor, he unclips his wings. He flies without the wings. We can all do it, but another thing that brings me to this point is some drop zones don't like certain things, and those things are like hands in the shot, or in my case feet, because I can't transition properly because I got a new jumpsuit and I always have my feet. I always say I'm using them to frame the student, but they don't believe me. So yeah, this is another thing. Try to do a jump where you unclip your wings. We can do it together next time you are hip. Yeah. I'll do it. Unclip your wings, and I'll just pretend I'll be a student and try to fly without wings. You see how different it is, but you're gonna get much more speed because the wings will slow you down. Yeah, that's the other thing that brings me back to that very first picture I've shown you there. At the very beginning, I always thought that I'm gonna just wear swoop shorts and a t-shirt and a camera jacket over because it looks cool. I'm a swoop shorts, all that. When I start filming that AAA team, I realized I kind of need drag on them legs. Because I'm not saying that was the only reason, but one of the reasons I hit that team was I was trying to do a hybrid peel and lead exit. I timed it wrong and stuff happened. But should I have booties or baggy trousers? It could have ended a little bit differently because I would have drags on them legs, but I didn't. So this is another thing that would potentially help you think what you want to wear on your legs. Obviously, if you're gonna have something skinny, it's gonna fall faster. Yeah. So that's how we go. Any more questions? Cool. Distractions. Talked about the distractions at the beginning. How are we doing time-wise? Jesus, I talk a lot and fast. Apologies. So distractions, very important thing. Cameras are distracting not just to yourself, but to the students, to people you are filming. So be aware of that, especially on a big way and on serious events. People get easily distracted. So even if you're not camera flying, if you're just jumping in a formation, you want to wear that camera, consider not wearing it. It helps the organizer, it helps you, and it helps the others. Because we all know we're in that formation, it's flying, and yeah, buddy. And that little yeah on one side of the formation is gonna do this on the other side. Trust me, I've seen it happen. If you're doing a fun jump, like a little diamond jump, you've never heard this from me. Little diamond jump, and you're docking the last. As you dock, just do this, and just watch the last person ping off the formation on the other side. I haven't said anything. So let me just quickly, because I see we're short on time. Is there anything I haven't covered you would like to hear from me before I get any further?
Just about unclipping your wings. If you do that, aren't they just flapping about, and isn't that a risk to you when you open?
Yes, but it all depends on your. This is the thing. Know your gear. They obviously are going to be flapping somewhere, so you can unclip them and clip them back over where they're not gonna be inflated. But what I see from Rob Jones, they don't go too far. But this is a good thing to consider. I actually haven't thought about. So I'd be mindful of that. What do they actually do? But he does unclip the wings, and I personally do it sometimes too. Is there anything else? So I would just like to go through a few pictures I've just randomly chosen them. This is why I love camera flying, because I love this. Isn't that just beautiful? And not just for the sponsors, for the people. This is in Czech Republic. This is the Czech national team from Hurricane Factory. I arrived at this drop zone. People didn't know me. I did a jump. I sat down. I quickly edited this photo. By the way, it's edited in the Lightroom, something I'm going to mention now in a second as well. so it looks a little bit better, because I personally shoot in RAW. I shoot in JPEG and RAW, and I'm editing the RAW pictures into what I want to see. JPEGs are already edited by a camera. People always say, oh, no filters, no filters. If you take a picture with your phone, with your camera, it is a filter, because that phone is already filtering the stuff. So RAW picture isn't filtered, so that's how I work. So I arrived at this drop zone, took this picture, and they didn't let me leave, and I was jumping for free. Just nothing, so be good. Sometimes not just skydiving. I got out one of the evening jumps at Hibbleston. It was nice and clear down below the plane. It was just in a distance like that, and it was literally, I just turned my head and, oh, how are you doing? There was another picture which was even better, but unfortunately the other picture, the camera decided to focus on this antenna instead of on that. So fortunately, that's something we cannot avoid. Another picture of people deploying. Again, safety point, talk to the other camera flyer. Let him know you're gonna be there, so he's mindful of you. Looks cool, doesn't it?
Looks actually like the ultimate twist. The bag's rotated.
Not my problem. This is kind of cropped a little bit, but it was worth the double bourbon. It's Marco and Shan having fun, as you all know them. There is AFF jump. This is a point as well. Some of you become camera flyers, start camera flying. There's people here who I filmed level 1 as well. LOL. Again, talk to the instructors, make sure you know what they want. In general, with AFF, when people pay for, to get their jump filmed, distraction is the biggest thing, especially in level 1. So usually it's a peel exit, staying 45 degrees behind, so we can clearly see the practice touches. Then obviously they paid for the video, so we come to the front for a little bit and then get back out. Usually the instructors will show you, but I think quite a nice picture. Then don't be messing with Milko, because he'll be coming for you. Yeah, he's got twist, but he got out of it, so it's fine. This is one of the nice pictures as well. It's another thing I would like to mention. I like to do, and it was actually Pete Harris who gave me this idea, which is double flow to exit of a camera. It's very nice. You can get very nice shots, but please do talk to your pilot or to your DZ about having 2 people on a step. Some steps aren't calibrated for that, so don't just go out there and stand there. Yeah, this was a double exit. I floated. Debbie peeled. I think quite cool.
That's my profile picture, Martin.
Oh yeah, thank you, Gary. Do you want me to find the other picture? And then think about, you know, when you film in the tandems, of course it's about the tandem, but think about the scenery. You know, fly a little bit to the side. You know, it's easy to get to the money shot. They're gonna get the money shot, but then you have the Humber, you have Grimsby, Black Knights or whatever. Black Knights is even, I actually have a picture from Black Knights as well. So just a suggestion, think about the surroundings, you know. Also, I think it'd be probably at all drop zones, be mindful of cloudy days, because we don't jump through the clouds, we never do. But if it happens that there are clouds down below, for whatever reason, we orbit in tandems. Think about that and do low orbit. We don't have to be doing high or up and over orbit. Do a low orbit so nobody can see. This is just a tip, because social media is the biggest enemy these days and it can get us into trouble, so be mindful of that as well. And then it's just Ben swooping, but why I chose this picture is I personally don't turn my camera off. Never ever. Under the canopy, I always have it on. Never know what you're gonna see. You're standing there and, oh yeah, that's cool. If the camera isn't on, you're gonna miss that shot. So my recommendation to you is have it always on. they're always taking a piss out of me at hip. We get into the plane and all I hear from the back, Rob, is, Martin. I say, I know it's on. So batteries go dead. Batteries are cheap. You know, have a spare in the pocket. That's actually one thing I haven't mentioned. I don't have anything on me today. But you know when you buy your SD card, it comes in a little plastic case. Buy 2 of them. Have it one in your camera. Leave the other one in the plastic case. Buy another tiny, smaller SD card for your GoPro. Put it into that case as well. Stick it in your jumpsuit or anywhere you want. I've had a situation last year where I decided to follow a nice formation jump as a artistic camera because it was a late in the day, like sunset jump, and I realized I had no SD card in. At that time, I was stupid and I didn't have that card with me. So luckily enough, Alex Potter was kind enough that we switched, so I did the top to bottom camera and he did the artistic. But the point is, have that thing with you. You never know when you're gonna need it. Same with the batteries. They're light, they're tiny. If you can, carry one with you at all times because you never know when it's gonna save you or somebody else. And that somebody else can save you the next time. Another positioning, you know, it's just back of the Tandem, but isn't that beautiful? I think it is. Inside the plane. Don't forget that you know there are some nice things to see when the people are exiting. So don't just think about taking pictures in the sky. Take them all the time. On the ground, without framing. It would be nicer if that was there, but I think it still got it nicely. You know, I get a lot of piss taken out of me at the Hibblestop because I'm not sure if anybody here has seen me, but sometimes I go like, oh yeah. And they say, you know, you can take your camera off. I say, no, but I won't see it through the ring sight, you know, because my ring sight is set in certain ways that I know what to look for. So think about the angles you're gonna take the picture from. Don't just stand in front of them. Don't stand above them. Yeah, always think about what it can look like afterwards. Another one. I think she was 74, her 4th jump. Awesome lady. When you're doing a tandem camera, you climb out. If it's possible on your plane, this is caravan. Get up there. Give them that shot. It's very nice. I think this is L. So yeah, deployment on AFF, and sometimes just relax. Have a chill time in the office. Yeah, another example. This is what I was talking about, me staying in the middle. You know, there's another camera fly on top, so be mindful of what can happen afterwards when you stay in the middle. It could get very dangerous. This is why I love it. This is probably one of the best pictures I've ever taken. I didn't even think I can track like that, but it was very nice. That's Morgan Holland, who's not around. Don't know why I chose this. And sometimes positioning yourself when formation changes points can create a nice hybrid. This wasn't a planned hybrid, but it's in Canopy as well, and I think it resulted in a very interesting picture. So positioning is important. So that's everything. We have few minutes. Oh, another one. That's Hallam, night deploying. Again, just my point, let him know you're going to be there. What I was trying to achieve here, I'm not sure if any of you seen the video. There was a video going around and still going around of, they call it a deployment porn. There is like a guy deploying his parachute, like in a free fly suit, but it's slowed down, like really slowed down, and it's so pretty that I've always been trying to get this. I didn't get it yet. So I have my camera on 240 frames per second and trying to get it, but that's when I was trying to attempt it. But actually it turned out into quite a nice picture, but please do talk to the other people. They know you're going to be there, okay? That's the Black Knights one I was talking about. Look at that shit. Jim Bradwell actually asked me for, this is without watermark, so he can print it and have it there, because that is Jim Bradwell in the background. And sorry, I'll get a little bit closer. There is the man there. One of the cover photos from last year. Sorry for the bauble, by the way. Because
I'll tell you a little quick story about that picture. It was the only time after about 600 jumps where I missed my pull twice. So I ended up really low on the canopy. And I realised I wasn't going to make it back and I'd have to find somewhere alternative to land. And just then Matt went across the front of me, filmed me. We plan went out the window, just like,
it was really, we did, we were safe. But just another quick point, I know we're running short on time. That picture is a nice picture, it made it to the cover, but we did take some risks. We were low, we were quite deep from the drop zone, and I needed to fly in the front of Phil. So what I did was I created some kind of a vague turbulence behind me, so be mindful of that. At low altitude, this can result in serious problems. So please do think about doing anything like that and how you do it, okay? Unfortunately, we're out. I probably didn't talk about 90% things I wanted to talk about. So guys, who don't know me, my name is Martin Skrbel. On Facebook is SKRBEL. Find me, message me, email me, WhatsApp me, whatever. I'm more than happy to answer and help anybody who needs any help. I don't consider myself professional, but I'm more than happy to share what I've learned over years. I would quickly like to thank my sponsors, Sunpad, HB Camera Mounts, Symbiosis Suites, Skydiver Stove for looking after me, and Andy Clark from Wild Geese to take me under his wings, because without him I'd be nothing today. So thank you all for being here.